TFK Cooking Show. Today we're going to talk about a quick start guide to using your pressure cooker. First of all, the basic operation of your pressure cooker uses liquid, heat, and pressure to cook foods very quickly. For example, a beef roast in an oven might be 3 hours for a 3-pound roast, and here you're 35 minutes. A bean soup is 30 minutes. Macaroni and cheese, that might take 15-20 minutes. You're about 8 minutes all in on a pressure cooker. So what I like to do is just kind of take it out of the box and give you a few examples. So here's your TFK pressure cooker. You obviously have your power cord. You have a rice paddle. You have a drip catcher. And you have a measuring cup. And of course, your manual that comes with it. Okay. So the drip catcher slides right on here. Right here. To clean this, insert with regular soap and water, and don't use any metal utensils in that. Okay. So let's talk about the lid. First, you've got your valve. Your valve is when it's the knob is at your 6 o'clock position. It's in the seal position, and what you'll notice as you turn it over, it's in the release position. So that's how you would release the pressure. Over here on this side, you've got the rubber seal. From time to time, after washing and much use, sometimes it can come up off of that rim, that steel wire. So you just want to make sure that that's secure behind the steel rim. Okay. So for a couple of basic recipes, let's say rice. We're going to make a long grain rice. What you would do is a 2-to-1 ratio. Typically, you'd add your 2 cups of water and your 1 cup of rice. You put your cover on. Seal it, make sure the valve is closed, and you would hit your rice button or your 10-minute button. There we go. And hit 10 minutes. Now what will happen is you'll notice it'll have a scrolling icon here, and then once the pressure builds, there will be a P on there, and then it'll count down in this example from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. When it hits 0, it's done cooking. It'll beep. And then it turns itself to the warm setting. And there'll be a little yellow icon light there. So you do need to turn that off, otherwise it'll stay on warm. But that's a nice feature if you're out and about or you're not ready for your rice to eat, then it stays warm until you're ready for it. Okay, to cancel all operations, just hit the yellow button again. Let's talk about all the different functions of the buttons. Okay, this first button is the green button. It says timer, and what this is a delayed start. And each time you hit it, it goes up incrementally by 30 minutes. So right now we're at 3 hours. To give you an example, okay. So let's say we wanted to start our meal in 7 hours, and we wanted to make rice. So what you would do is you'd hit this up until it hits 7, and then hit the rice button. Okay, and then in 7 hours it'll start, it'll warm itself up, become pressurized, and cook for 10 minutes. When it's done, it'll automatically go to the warm setting. So this is a delayed start. Okay, again, to cancel all operations, we'll just hit the yellow cancel button. All these other buttons here on the bottom that start at rice, casserole, fish, soup, beef, and vegetables, these are all preset buttons. So this was manufactured with the assumption that you didn't have a cookbook or a recipe. But if you just had some beef, you'd hit the beef button, and you know that's 35 minutes. So a beef roast takes about 35 minutes. Okay. However, if you do come across a recipe and it calls for 10 minutes, then the rice button is 10 minutes. Or if you come across a recipe that requires 20 minutes, you hit that button. Or if you come across a recipe for 5 minutes, you hit that button. Soup is 30 minutes, and so on. Occasionally, you will find a recipe that isn't in any of these increments. So as a convenient feature, as you push each one of these buttons, it goes up incrementally by 1 minute of cooking time. So for example, let's say you wanted to make a little risotto, and it usually takes 8 minutes. You would hit the fish button, which is 5, and keep hitting it until it hits 8 minutes, and that's all you need to do. And then this will, the LED light will rotate, the P will come on, and that means it's pressurized, and then it'll count down, in this example, from 8 down to 0, beep, turn itself to the warm setting. Okay. If you notice, none of these are under 5 minutes. So if you have a recipe that you want to make in under 5 minutes, let's say you want to make some hard-boiled eggs. They usually take 4 minutes, or soft-boiled eggs maybe about 3 minutes. So if you hit the vegetable button, it hits 15, but the next button goes down to 1. So then you would just hit it a few times until it hits 3, and then it'll start the cooking process and continue like normal. Sear all the sides of the roast. Then you would add your liquid in there, maybe 2 cups of broth or wine or water. Then you'd put your cover on, like so. Make sure it's sealed. Make sure the valve is on seal. And then you would cook, in this example, 20 minutes. All right, cook it for 20 minutes. It'll turn, once it's done, it'll beep. Then you would go ahead and turn it off. Now you want to add your onions, your potatoes, and your carrots. So then you would release the pressure. Okay, turn it to exhaust. The pressure will release. You also know when the pressure is released because there's a little pin that drops and you can kind of hear that. The other way that you know that the pressure is released is when you open it, it opens easily. If there is pressure in here, one of the great features of this pressure cooker is you are not able to open the cover if there is pressure inside the cooker. And this is one reason why so many people are afraid of their grandma's pressure cooker, because they're always worried about the cover flying off and the pea soup going everywhere. With our pressure cooker, there's multiple safety measures that you don't have that problem. You cannot open the cover if there's pressure built up in here. So back to the roast. We've got our beef cooked. We've released the pressure. The pin is dropped. There's no pressure in the cooker. Now I'm going to open this up, take the cover off. Now I'm going to put my cut potatoes, my carrots, my onions in there, and that needs, we're going to require 10 more minutes of cooking time, so I'm going to put this back on, put the valve to seal, and then I'm going to hit the 10-minute button. Another thing I wanted to communicate is in the recipes that you'll find in the cookbook that we've included, or if you go online or find other great resources for pressure cooking recipes, is occasionally you will see it say quick release after the recipe is completed, or a natural release. And I just wanted to explain the difference between those two. Let's say your pressure cooker beeps and the food is done. To a quick release is just simply a quick release. You're immediately after it's done, you're moving the valve from seal to exhaust, which quickly releases the pressure. And that's probably 75 to 80% of the time you'll do is a quick release. A natural release is once whatever you're cooking in there is done, you turn the machine off and let the pressure naturally release or decompress, and then the pin will drop. That takes several more minutes, but that's another cooking technique that is not so jarring on the food. And the times when you'd want to use a natural release is usually when you're doing something like a souffle, or if you're baking cake in here, where you don't want that change in pressure to affect the loftiness of your cake, or your chocolate molten cake, or your cheesecake, something like that. And finally, I just would like to invite you to, if you have any other questions, please come to our pressure cooking classes. We do them every month. Visit us online for those dates and times at tfkcookingshows.com. And finally, I encourage you strongly to take your pressure cooker out of the box, trial and error with your pressure cooker. It's an absolutely fantastic machine that'll allow you to do everything from cakes to soups in a fraction of the time, and all in one pan. So thanks for visiting us today.